I want to tell you a story about flight. Well, actually, about the glory of flight, except this story is unlike one you've heard before. Let me introduce you to Alexander Kartveli. He is probably the most important aircraft designer you've never heard of. What if I told you a career in engineering and design gave him wings? Alexander Kartveli is solely responsible for seminal design advancements for legendary aircrafts, the P-35, the first all-metal single-seat fighter, the P-47 Thunderbolt, a key asset that helped the United States win World War II, the XF-103 high-speed concept bomber, the F-105, used extensively in Vietnam, and the A-10 Thunderbolt II, also known as Warthog, that became the fiercest close air support fighter in Operation Desert Storm. And Kartveli's contributions to hypersonic flight theory and design provided important stepping stones for today's NASA space shuttle program. Actually, engineering and design is only part of this story about flight. Another important character is imagination. You see, Kartveli was born in the country of Georgia in 1896, 7 years before the Wright brothers first powered flight on the beaches of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Just a few years later, the innocence of those early planes melted away like sand dunes as the world struggled against a global tyrannical threat. Kartveli escaped the Bolsheviks by moving to Paris to pursue a boyhood dream to design aircraft in the new emerging field of aviation, an exciting and fast-moving industry like the internet of today. Against this bleak Bolshevik background, ambition and imagination took flight with Kartveli, literally. To make ends meet, Kartveli worked in a circus as a trapezist and as a math tutor. And while in aviation school in Paris, one of his plane designs miraculously set a world speed record. Soon thereafter, Kartveli came to the United States as a penniless immigrant as head of engineering and design at Charles Levine's small aircraft manufacturing company. Levine's aviation ambition translated into a dream to build a planned 50-passenger transoceanic transport. This was a massive technical and design undertaking at that time. Kartveli designed the Uncle Sam to meet Levine's requirements. The Uncle Sam was built and tested in 12 test flights for this purpose, but never flew operationally. When Levine's aviation company failed, Kartveli joined forces again as chief engineer for Alexander de Seversky, another early aviation pioneer who also happened to be born in Georgia. Seversky Aircraft eventually became Republic Aviation, a major force in aircraft manufacturing through World War II and the conflicts that followed shortly thereafter. As World War II approached, Seversky became engrossed in formulating his theories of air warfare and used his political connections to further his vision. Shortly after the December 7, 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor, he wrote Victory Through Air Power, published in April 1942, advocating the strategic use of air bombardment. The book was used as the basis for a war-era animated film produced by Disney. At Republic Aviation, Kartveli designed some of the era's most important fighter planes, starting with the P-47. When Kartveli learned about the military's new performance requirements, he sketched an initial design of the P-47 on the back of an envelope. The aircraft needed more speed, power, and range, and also more load-carrying ability than other combat pursuit planes. Thus was born the famous P-47, also called the Thunderbolt. The first flight of the P-47 Thunderbolt opened a new chapter in aviation. It was the first all-metal fighter to fly at 400 miles an hour, and pound for pound, the Thunderbolt was the world's fastest, highest-climbing single-engine fighter. Within a week of Pearl Harbor, the Republic Aviation Factory on Long Island, New York, geared up to 3 shifts per day for P-47 production. After World War II, the political situation between the Soviets and the USA changed dramatically. It was the beginning of the Cold War, symbolized by the construction of the Berlin Wall and fears of domestic communist activity. Prompted by Senator McCarthy's Committee on Un-American Activity, Kartveli and others like him were subject to unfounded suspicion and censorship. The political situation also meant Kartveli was cut off from his family in Georgia forever. Nevertheless, Kartveli's designs at Republic Aviation continued at a rapid pace following World War II. The post-war years found Kartveli designing the XR-12 Rainbow, the world's first 450-mile-per-hour four-engine transport-type plane, and more significantly, the jet-powered F-84 Thunderjet. The Korean War brought a new set of challenges into military aviation. The F-84 became the workhorse of the war. It saw first combat on December 7, 1950. As combat requirements changed, the F-84G filled a new requirement. It was the first American fighter jet to carry the atomic bomb. Republic built 4,457 F-84 Thunderjets. Kartveli's aviation genius impacted the outcome of America's conflicts in ways no aircraft designer had done before. Naturally, the media captured Kartveli's immutable sense of imagination in articles in which he expounded on the future of civilian aviation and spaceflight. In fact, much of Kartveli's vision was inspired by peaceful civilian uses for aircraft. He was an important contributor to early space shuttle designs as an advisor to NASA. He always reached for the sky. Kartveli led the way in contributions to supersonic flight with numerous aircraft that broke the sound barrier. Kartveli was a collaborator on many projects. He worked closely with Antonio Ferri on a new design called the Scramjet. Kartveli focused on airplane design, while Ferri addressed difficult problems in aerodynamics and propulsion. The two men formed a professional and highly competitive working relationship, and together produced the experimental XF-103 design, which would have been capable of speeds exceeding Mach 3. The XF-103 was dead and buried for 3 years when Kartveli crafted the operational F-105, which topped Mach 2 as early as 1956. Kartveli now expected to continue with a Mach 2.3 fighter bomber with enough power to lift off vertically and to cruise at 75,000 feet. From there, the agenda was to design a strategic bomber powered by nuclear ramjets, which would use atomic power to heat internal airflow with no need to burn fuel. The concept would match the peak speed of the X-7 by cruising at Mach 4.25 or 2,800 miles per hour at 85,000 feet. While experimental designs were acquiring greater speed capability, it was Kartveli who translated speed into operational jets. Ultimately, he won the race by designing the operational F-105 that flew at Mach 2.15 in June 1956. The F-105, also known as the Thud and also as the Thunder Chief, was first conceived as an in-house private venture to succeed the first-line F-84 series of fighter bombers. Its stated mission was to fly low-level, to deliver with great precision a tactical nuclear bomb housed within its internal bomb bay. Through the early and mid-1960s, the F-105 was developed as a conventional strike bomber. It was in this role that it was sent to Southeast Asia during the escalation of the Vietnam War. A total of 833 F-105s were built. After Kartveli retired from Republic in 1962, his team went on to design aircraft whose missions was to save lives and test the limits of science. In retirement, Kartveli continued to contribute as a consultant to Republic for another 5 years. The Fairchild Republic 810 Thunderbolt, also called the Warthog, was designed by Kartveli and team in the 1960s and first deployed in 1972. It exemplifies how Kartveli translated the need for a close air support fighter aircraft into the most potent fighter aircraft ever designed. The Warthog remains feared by enemies and revered by the U.S. Air Force decades after Kartveli's death. Despite rapid innovation in aeronautical materials and designs since the 1970s, more than 300 A-10s remain in service as of 2015. But Kartveli's dreams and sights remained on space as the final frontier for man. For flights that could reach orbit, Kartveli's masterpiece concept aimed for Mach 25. The idea involved mounting 4 J-58 turbojets modified to burn hydrogen. You see, a man devoted to a dream acquired the wings to fly through persistence and a buoyant dedication to imagining a better world. His planes were visions of the future. Kartveli opened our eyes to the potential for individuals to innovate by uniting head and hand, and who think by designing things. Beginning in the early 20th century, when innovators like Kartveli gained influence, a whole class of leaders emerged as a new breed of designers and engineers who combined the scientific method with an excessive orientation towards possibilities.